Whether we like it or not, mining is profitable.
We see Galamsey as something that is very far away from us.
Yes, we are at war. So if you are at war, you have terrorists in your midst. You don't then respond to them the way we are responding to them.
You're listening to the CDD-Ghana Democracy Dialogues podcast, a platform for meaningful conversations on governance, democracy, and development. From policy discussions to citizen perspectives, we explore key topics like electoral reforms, economic policies, and human rights. Join the conversation on YouTube, Spotify, and our website. Stay informed, stay inspired.
Welcome to part 2 of the CDD-Ghana Democracy Dialogues podcast on assessing Ghana's anti-Galamsey fight, progress, setbacks, and systemic challenges. My name is Mama Vioso Abuaje. Joining me are insightful and experienced guest, Erastus Asari Donko, who is a celebrated Ghanaian broadcaster and investigative journalist with the Multimedia Group Limited. We also have Josephine Agbeko. She's a feminist leader in climate justice and sustainable business development. She's the founder of Climate Voice Global, which is a climate advocacy entity. Also joining the conversation is Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbe, currently serves as the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, a role he assumed after leading the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications for several years. We're thankful that you could join us for part 2 of this very important discussion. Erastus, you're pushing for us to declare state of emergency on mining along water bodies. I want to ask you, what would a state of emergency translate into?
A state of emergency will give further powers to the government of the day to strengthen the enforcement regime on the ground. A state of the emergency will also prioritize the areas that we are talking about. One, we are setting a limit zone, a red zone, to mining on the water bodies, which per our laws is criminal and is a no-go area at all for anybody who wants to mine. Using champagne machines, sitting on water bodies and mining along water bodies, 100 meters away from water bodies and all that. That is a no-no. So definitely, it will enhance those powers and it will create a certain line that you should not cross. It will give the security agencies enough power to enforce the law to the letter. It will give the president room to now open up and send more mercenaries out there, security firepower out there, to say that you cannot go to this extent to mine. And that's exactly what we want. You see, we are looking for the kind of urgency. We are not seeing that. You have 60% of all your river bodies and water bodies polluted and contaminated by heavy metals through illegal mining. And we are not seeing the urgency. The urgency is not there. And that is why we want the president to initiate that urgency. We want to send a strong signal out there that this area is a no-go area. Don't go there. If you want to mine, don't venture. Don't try. We are not seeing that. And so a state of emergency will let us see that. The president will be able to set up the boundaries clearly, and the citizens will have to obey that. Henceforth, from now to a certain time, you cannot go near a certain water body to say you're going to mine, so that we can give our water bodies a breathing space, a restoration period, to see them getting back to the original state.
Listen, I was shocked, and I don't know how shocked you were after the discovery of that sprawling hideout near the Subri Forest Reserve, which was home to more than 10,000 people, and the discovery that there were foreign nationals from Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, Niger, Nigeria, all in this particular forest. You talk about the people living in these areas being the poorest, but I wonder if they themselves are aware of the impact of these operations, because we can't only fight. The fight cannot be in the capital. The fight cannot be a group of people who are always advocating and hitting the streets. The people themselves must also fight. Do you have a sense that they are also fighting? Just hold your thought a bit. I want Josephine to come in, and then you can.
Yeah, just a bit on the Subri thing. Do you know that in the Subri Forest Reserve, the miners are back?
Really?
Perhaps you have not checked. I have checked. The miners are back. They are mining.
Wait, when you say the miners are back, including all these foreign nationals?
The illegal miners who the military men drove away from Subri, Abrewa, and Ninkrai, they are back. Get somebody to go and check for you. They are there.
So Justin, I just want you to pick up on this. I mean, how have we allowed them to come back and there are locals in there?
There's an unhealthy level of disingenuity when it comes to the politics we do in our country, and it's important that we recognize it for what it is, in all ways that it presents to us. And we know that actions have consequences, and when we start thinking about how this issue of Galamsey illegal mining has been politically exploited, there are two things that come to mind. First is the fact that we use Galamsey a lot, or we talk about Galamsey a lot alongside political campaigns year after year, administration after administration. We talk a lot about it. But Mamavi, when the conversations are happening and they're happening alongside campaign or electioneering periods, it's often talked about in terms of job creation. We will create jobs for you. We will help you transition to artisanal small-scale mining, which is more regulated or better regulated. We will help you get better jobs in other places. We will invest in this community and things like that. So communities are promised jobs and other opportunities. But we also want to talk about elite capture of our forest reserves or elite capture of mining, illegal mining. Because whether we like it or not, mining is profitable. Unfortunately, it's profitable only for a few people, and the masses are left to suffer the impact of illegal mining. But it is a profitable venture, and it's no surprise at all that it's been captured by elite forces. We've seen people in national political parties taking huge chunks of land and investing in illegal mining, things like that. So we've seen this ingenuity happen in our politics in the way that, on the one hand, politicians seem to be paying lip service to this canker, and on the other hand, they seem to be using this fight or this issue to be either stoking interest or portraying their wanting to act, but also then promising jobs, promising investments, promising other deals that between you and I, they know aren't possible. If there's a national issue that we as citizens have rallied around or have galvanized our own support for, it will be this particular call to stop illegal mining in our forest reserves, stop alluvial mining, stop all forms of mining that degrade our land, mining that is not responsible. And so for something as precious as this, for something as important as this, it really begs the question, what really is stopping our leaders from declaring a state of emergency on the matter? And now we talk about, are people leaving those communities? Do those people realize the issues at hand? Mamavi, the other thing with illegal mining or with these issues is that until we get to a point where we have the political will at the level of the government, national government, at the level of the states, the regions that we have, at the level of the agencies that are put in charge of doing that. Local communities will always see the big guys invading their communities, mining in reserves that should be providing clean water to them, reserves that should be providing some kinds of protection or agrarian benefits to them. Those reserves being captured by elite forces or elite capital, elite interests. And so for them, there's also this thinking around, well, if we live here with the minerals, should we really have to wait until other people come, take part in illegal mining, take the resources away, and leave us dealing with the brunt of it? So there's that consideration. And it's important that we always take the conversation back to, do we have the political will to create the change, or to change the course, or to chart a different course that we already have? Because until we've done that, until we've certainly seen that political will at national level, seen it within the agencies being supported with the capacity they need, it really will be an issue of putting the cart before the horse, where we're saying, can people leave those communities, or can those communities stop illegal mining? Well, elite forces are coming into those communities to do illegal mining. Can we deal with that? Can we address that? And then local people will see that even richer people or people with more capital are being dealt with. Foreigners who are engaged in this act are being dealt with. And I think that already also starts to send a signal of what the government's position is, or what the power of the day's position is in addressing this matter.
Dr. Ashibe, are you as surprised to find out that people that were driven out of the Subri forest are back?
Mama V, am I surprised? No. So not only is that forest reserve, Erastus is the expert in naming the forest reserve, but there's one of the forest reserves that was reclaimed from a red to amber. A forestry commission, the guards went back in there. He was hacked. I don't know whether he's recovered fully. He had to be transferred to Komfo-Anokye. And that's why, for me, the point we're making about the need to ensure that we militarize the forest guards, we give them the firepower that is over and above what these, because in Abrani and all of that, they have people, and most of these are foreign mercenaries that have brought, who provide security in those places. So if you don't give the forestry commission people enough firepower to be able to deal with them, and that's why another proposition that we have as the Ghana Coalition is also the fact that we should establish permanent bases for the military. So as you're going about the process of militarizing your forest guards so that they become like the rangers, the forest rangers of the US and all of that, you also want to make sure that you set up permanent posts for your military in these communities, so that they don't, this thing where they go and come, it does not work. Once they have a permanent post in there, they are provided with all the necessary accoutrements and armaments to be able to deal with. When you then start seeing Galamsey, then you start also holding them accountable. And that's why, to answer the question, part of the question that you posed to Erastus about what a state of emergency would do, the state of emergency will give the president special powers, so that the issues around setting up a special court. You take the example of the UK, for example. You remember when those riots occurred, the UK set up special courts. Within 24 hours, you are arrested, you are taken to the court, you are jailed, you are found guilty, you are jailed. We need to get to that particular point. The issues that has been complained about is the fact that all of these arrests are being done, and then we have issues around being able to get these. When they go to court, it's the same normal way. Fortunately, the Ghana Chamber of Mines, working together with JTI, we've done some training for the magistrates and the circuit court judges in the western, north, and central region. Hopefully, we will begin to start seeing some improvement. But you need these special powers. Another thing you want to be able to do, All of these excavators that are being seized, who are the people who are procuring it? You want special powers that would also give the powers to the president to be able to quickly go after all of these people, make sure that we are following the money and all of that. So, we are in, again, you remember the EPA boss had asked for some number of helicopters to be able to do an operation. Those things she will be able to do very effectively when you have a state of emergency. So yes, we are at war. We've had the IGP tell us about the fact that we are at war. We have had the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources tell about the terrorism that is being wreaked on us. So if you are at war, you have terrorists in your midst, you don't then respond to them the way we are responding to them. There are some parts of this country, if you go around in your free area and all of that, in your presence, Erastus had done stories about people who are mining in the towns. And there was a video, one person was captured on video, he said, confessing to that illegality. Who are the people who are behind all of these people? How are we dealing with them? Another challenge that we're beginning to face that all of us need to re-strategize about. A lot of these young people who come into these communities, they are brought in. Some of them are coming from Boku, so that they weren't being crime. Some of them are coming from Boku and brought in to provide security, and they are getting money to be able to buy weapons and send them to, fuel the Boku conflict. The time has come for us to be able to go to those communities and let them know that there's a 15-year jail sentence if you are found guilty of, crimes under the Minerals and Mining Act 995. As amended in 2019, they just don't get it. They don't get it. So we need to start telling them about these things so that they realize it. So it is really important that we see the agency. And you see, Mamabi, again, when Josephine talks about the fact that there are very rich people who are capturing this, there is a situation where currently somewhere in the Hafu area, a mining firm had been prospecting for over 10 years. Now you have a group of illegal people who have been able to invest $5 million in equipment. Would you call that some small-scale miners who are doing it? $5 million in new excavators, new dozers, new 4x4 pickup trucks, and all of that. And they are encroaching and carrying out, this damage on the land. So the things that we're dealing with, it is not just the issue of your artisanal persons who, in the time of Erastus' father and all of that, to take some pickers and go into the forest and go, and if you go back, you not even find out that they've done anything. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who have been able to spend $5 million to go and do an illegality. Very recently, there is a Reuters news report that is saying that in the past 5 years, we have lost $11.2 billion to gold that have been smuggled. All of this gold is coming from all of these illegal activities. And so, the nature of the robbery that is being done to our country is not something that we should be toying with. This is organized crime. For a group of people that spend $5 million to be able to go and encroach. They don't want to go and do all the hard jobs that, if you're a large-scale miner, you have to reclaim and do all. They don't want to do that. They want to be able to rip and rape so that they would be able to bypass us and then deny Ghana $11.2 billion. What would $11.2 billion do for us? It would change the face of our country. But UAE and all of that, and we need to start calling out some of these countries who are buying the smuggled gold. They are depriving Ghana of resources that would enable us to be able to actually develop our country. And in the process, they are leaving behind, a generational damage to our forest, to our people. There are cocoa farms that have taken care of people for ages, taking people to school. They build houses out of that. They are now being cut down because somebody is going to get $8,000 per acre, and afterwards, perpetual, poverty is what now they denounce. So we need a bit more agency to be able to deal with this. And I'm hoping that His Excellency would see this $11.2 billion that we have lost in the past 5 years. And he would realize the fact that his presidency is at stake. These people who rose up against Dr. Anabisu, if they are able to do that, With time, they have a community, Abrewan Ninkrai. But the time you see it, they have a lot of money, they buy a lot more weapons and all of that. They have bought a police commander in their pocket. By the time you see, they've taken over a district. And then they'll start franchising the same thing. So the very existence of our democracy and the presidency of His Excellency is under attack. And we urge him that he needs to look at that and support the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, support the IGP, and this conversation where we hear the Minister of Interior deporting Chinese people, and we need to call the Chinese out. There are some Chinese companies that are doing good work, but majority of them who have come in and are within the small-scale miners are completely dealing as a bad blow, and that have to be dealt with. So we cannot keep on deporting them and letting them come back like the way Ashawan has come back. And we need to ensure.
It's not up to the Chinese government. It is us. We are doing it.
Yes, so it is up to us. So that is the reason why the Minister for Lands, the Minister for Interior should know that he is currently breaching the constitutional provision that says that they need to uphold the laws of this country, because he's breaching Act 995. And so it is important that for all of us as a country, and again, so you see what happened when Honorable Dr. Anabisu goes to go and arrest these Chinese people. You have a police commander who then wants to prevent that from happening. The question we would want to be asking is, what has the IGP done about this police commander? And it is important that we carry Ghanaians along. When things are done to these people, when punishments are meted out to them, we need to, for the deterrence part of it, the other police commanders need to know that this is what has happened. Recently, when I was in Takrady for this training, there is a judge that showed me a text message that a DCE in the MPP era had sent to him, about a case that might come to his court and what he's supposed to do with it. So if we don't start making sure that these are DCEs, MCEs, the police commanders in these communities, that they have a KPI that says that no Galamsey in your place. If we see Galamsey in your place, you would be dismissed. And then if you find complicity, like this particular police commander who then sent tax after Dr. Anabisu, you would also be prosecuted, and everybody gets to know that these are the people that we are prosecuting. It is important that that happens, so that we send the necessary signal out to people that this is not acceptable and this is not something that we should countenance.
Right. This is the CDD-Ghana Democracy Dialogues podcasts with me, Mama View Uswabwaji, and we're discussing this very important topic: assessing Ghana's anti-Galamsey fight, progress, setbacks, and systemic challenges. The voice that you just heard a while ago, Dr. Kenneth Ashibe, is passionate advocates in the fight against illegal mining, largely known as Galamsey here in Ghana. We've also been listening to Erastus Asari Donko, respected for his fearless reporting on environmental and social issues, particularly the subject that we're discussing, Galamsey. And we also have Josephine Akbeko with us. She's an active voice in Ghana, particularly advocating for the repeal of this LI 2462 that we've also talked about. Dr. Ashibe, I must say that it's a good thing that you're giving training to these judges that you talk about. But I would also make an appeal that you add police prosecutors to it as well. Recently, at the vetting of Justice Dennis Ajay, he made a disclosure. The fact that there was a judge who had sentenced persons who had been arrested. We all thought it was for Galamsey, but apparently the charges that were preferred were trespass, something of the sort, and it had nothing to do with illegal mining. And that was the reason the sentencing was rather not punitive. So if we add police prosecutors to this exercise, I'm thinking that that would be very helpful, because the judge can only punish according to the offense that you charge the person with.
Mama, let me just add just quickly to you're spot on. And so what the Ghana Chamber of Mines is we're going to do, we're planning a second phase of the training. In that training, we've agreed with the Judicial Training Institute. We're going to have the police prosecutors and the police investigators also in that training as well. And it is, you're right, it's not only that. You remember that when Aisha Wan was arrested, The first charge that was brought against her was some administrative immigration act. It had to take Occupy Ghana, a member of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, to petition the AG for that to change. Do you also remember, not in recent past, where there were some Chinese that were arrested? A prosecutor went to court and then went to tell the judge that those Chinese, the 2 Chinese people, had died and had been cremated. And he had to take the judge really standing and say, go and bring me the ashes. So one of the weakest links in all of this is it starts with the investigators. They don't collect the right evidence that the prosecutors will need to be able to prosecute the case. And then some of the prosecutors would also go to court and go and do a shambolic job that the judge is left with nothing but those sentences that are just a slap on the wrist.
It is clear. We know what the issues are. We know the setbacks. We know the systemic challenges. Where do we go from here? And when I ask this question, I also want you to speak to the people. What must we do to bring action?
I always say that the power belongs to the people. And when I say the power belongs to the people, we tell those we elect what we want, and they obey. And many of us for a very long time have been sitting on the fence. We see Galamsey as something that is very far away from us. And so when we talk about it like this, somebody is seeing it as, oh, it belongs to the rural areas. We are in Accra, we are not perturbed. But the end product of what we produce in the rural areas end up in Accra and Kumasi. Whatever banchi, cassava, body, or whatever we harvest from the rural areas, we send it to Accra for sale. The lettuce that we get, we push them to Accra. In Accra, we don't grow lettuce much. Just some few, home garden or somewhere where we grow lettuce or carrots for consumption. All the production is done in these Galamsey areas. We will bring them to Accra for you. So, in the language of the ordinary kinky seller, whose words have not been sold for a long time, you say, Esimusi. Whether you eat it or you don't eat it, we rehash it and we bring it back to you. And you are going to enjoy it. You see, until you are sick and you find out that the doctor says, let's go and do toxicology test, and you find out there's heavy metals in my blood, then it starts sinking down to you. Don't sit on the fence. We should, through social media, through activism, through talking on radio, talking everywhere, using your social media pages, let's demand action from our government. Now we have set up the gold board. We are not interested in finding out how the gold is getting to the gold board. We are only interested in the fact that gold is making up our economy now, and we are happy. We should be interested in traceability. Where is our gold to the gold board coming from? All of us, civil society organizations should start picking up, should start organizing press conferences. If you have a Facebook page, start writing on that Facebook page and telling the president, we need action now. We should set up red zones for our rivers and water bodies, no-go area for mining, and we should speak with one voice. That way, we are getting somewhere. But if we sit on the fence and fold our arms and say, and expecting that somebody will take action, that the president will take action, or the lands minister will go ahead and take action. Of course, the IGP is doing something beneficial. Fantastic job he's doing. For a very long time, the Ghana Police Service has not been fighting Galamsey. Under the watch of IGP Yohuno, something positive is being done. I appreciate it. The lands minister initiated a lot of moves. I appreciate it. But we have not gotten to where we want to go. The promised land is still very far away. And so all of us should rise up and make sure we deal with this canker.
Thank you very much, Erastus. Josephine, In wrapping up this conversation, from all that we've learned in terms of where we are with the fight, where do we go next?
Illegal mining comes at an increase in cost to everyone in this country, whether we like it or not, whether we see it or not. There are direct and indirect impacts we see, whether it's health, agriculture, water, the security of our nation, as it's clearly becoming a national security threat. We are all impacted one way or the other, and it should continue to feature in our governance discourse, our economic development discourse, because the implications of unregulated mining are much more than we can even fathom. In the last 20 years, we've seen a policy dilution when it comes to mining in our forest reserves. And this is a point I try to make in all the forums that I've been in. There has been a policy dilution from a period where policies, forest reserves were sacrosanct, we couldn't access them for mining, to a place where it's an open door, and people, depending on how well you can lobby, how well you can integrate into political spheres, people now can access these spaces very much easily. But the good thing about policy is that it's amendable, it's repealable, it's adjustable when it ceases to serve our interests. And at this moment, we can all agree that most of the environmental mining regulations or environmental protection policies we have related to mining and forest reserves are no longer serving the interests of local communities. Neither are they serving the interests of Ghanaians, nor are they serving the interests of people who invest in our country. And we need to hold our state accountable for that. The Constitution mandates the state to take appropriate measures to protect and safeguard the national environments for posterity. Are they doing that? Have they done that? Will they do that? It is also our responsibility as citizens, as residents, to constantly hold our leaders to account. And this is one of the reasons that Climate Voice Global exists, to ensure that people are aware of rights and freedoms when it comes to environmental issues, and can hold leaders, local government leaders, regional leaders, political leaders, presidents, whoever it is that's responsible. We need to constantly hold them accountable for these issues, because at the end of the day, we feel the most impact, we feel the most burnt.
Thank you, Josephine. Dr. Ashige, Erastus took us to a place, and that's where I want to wrap up with you on. In terms of these aggregators that were engaged to buy gold, do we know, is there a policy guideline? Perhaps from where you sit, you would know this. Do we have rules and guidelines as to who they should buy the gold from?
Well, Mamadi, so the Gold Board, CEO himself confessed that they currently, as we sit, we don't know where we are getting our gold from, though, and so he says up to September, some traceability is going to happen. The interesting thing, again, speaking as an engineer, is that the engineering around traceability for gold is not like that for diamond, where you are able to trace where the blood diamond is coming from very concisely. You might be able to tell, looking at the ore and what the composition of the gold, where it's coming from. So it's going to be difficult. So we need to have measures that would be able to ensure that every ounce of gold, we are able to trace it back from where it's coming from. Like what the large-scale miners do, you would be able to trace every gold that gets out of this country, where it is coming from. So it is important that the Gold Board and in a whole thing of trying to ensure that the 11.4 billion loss, that has been occasioned by Ghana, from the export and the import gaps that we have into places like Dubai and India, we are closing that. We don't now begin to create a market for these illegal miners. So currently there's a complete, we don't have that under control at all. And so with the number of gold that we're talking about buying, a lot of the illegal gold, a lot of the poisoned gold, a lot of the blood gold is getting into the system. So it is important that as a matter of urgency, we quickly get into, we quickly get to the point where we start putting mechanism. It will not be a scientific way like the way the traceability is going to be. It would have to be an administrative system that holds to account everybody who is buying gold and selling it to the gold board, so that they can go back and tell us where it is that they got that gold from, and we should be able to test it, because it is a very critical thing that we need to do if we really are going to win this particular fight. As we deal with the issue of supply, we should also deal with the issues of demand. And so for us, we would work with the gold board and with, so UMAT, for example, to be able to look into that and make sure that there is some governance around the gold that we're buying. In the current situation that we find ourselves in, unfortunately, is not the best. Mamavi, a staggering 11.4 billion is what we have lost. If you look at the gap between how much we said we have exported to places like Dubai and India, and how much they themselves are counting as they have imported from us. 11.4 billion. That, if we had that, Ghana would not have gone through the turmoils that we went through. So it is important that we block that. And the only way by blocking that is ensuring that there's only responsible and legal mining taking place, and we are not mining on our river bodies. We are not mining irresponsibly in our forest reserves. And we are making sure that people who mine reclaim the lands that they are doing, restore the rivers, and then we make sure that Ghana gets the benefit out of the gold, the resources that we are mining out of the land.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe. Well, it's a long-standing battle, and until we win this fight, we'll continue to fight. Thank you, gentlemen and lady, for different voices that you bring to this conversation and, in fact, into this fight. We're grateful for your time.
Thank you for listening to the CDD-Ghana Democracy Dialogues podcast. Stay engaged, stay informed, and be part of the conversation on governance, democracy, and development. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and visit our website for more insightful discussions.